Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm the owner of seasonandserveblog.com. Warm up this season with a bowl of white bean and rosemary soup. This healthy Italian-inspired soup is made with white kidney beans, rosemary, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, and chicken stock. Now this soup may look rich and decadent in that it's loaded with cream, but I guarantee there is no extra fat other than olive oil and a little bit of fat from Parmesan cheese, making the soup a really great and healthy alternative for any weekend or weeknight meal. So if you want to see how I make my white bean and rosemary soup, just keep on watching. We'll start off this recipe by soaking our dried white beans, and I love cooking with dried beans because they are super cheap and it doesn't take a lot of work to prepare them. So what I've done here is measure out 2 cups of dried white kidney beans and I soak them in a bowl with water overnight. And as you can see, they do plump up quite a bit and you'll know they're fully soaked and ready to go when you can split them in half just like this. Once they're fully soaked, I'm going to drain them through a colander and then give them a quick rinse just to wash off any extra debris that may be on the beans. And now we're ready to take them over to the stove and cook them. Now cooking pre-soaked beans is really easy. All you have to do is add them to a Dutch oven or a heavy bottom pot and then cover them with at least 2 inches of water. I'm not going to add anything else to the pot, no salt, no other ingredients or flavorings. We are just looking to cook the beans. I also don't add salt because I think salt makes the skins a little bit too tough and it's not a good texture for the soup, so I like to omit it. And now they're ready to be cooked, so all we have to do is cover the pot of beans with the lid and bring the contents of the pot up to a boil. Then once it's boiling, we're going to reduce the heat to medium or medium-low, just so it's at a nice gentle simmer. And then we'll cover the pot again and let it go for about an hour. In the meantime, we'll prep the vegetables to go into our soup. So first thing we're starting off with is an onion. This is just 1 large yellow onion. I'm going to chop up nice and fine. And I want to chop it up nice and fine because we're only going to puree about half the soup, so I don't want really big chunks of onion in my soup. So a nice fine chop is the way to go. And next we're going to chop up a whole head of garlic. So there's about 8 to 9 cloves on a head of garlic. This is a fairly small one that I grew in my garden this past winter and it is so flavorful and delicious. But we're adding a whole one because we're having a big pot of soup, so we need lots of garlic flavor. And I really don't like peeling garlic, so a fun way to peel garlic and not have to get your fingers all sticky and gross is to actually put the garlic in a jar and shake it really well. Shaking kind of bruises the skins and just kind of knocks them off. So it takes a little bit of shaking, but you can actually get there and it's not as crazy as peeling everything by hand. And once all the garlic is peeled, it'll look like this, and we're actually going to save a whole one for later. We're going to make some garlic toast with it, so I'm just going to put 1 garlic clove aside, and then I'll just simply use my knife to finely chop the garlic. Again, we want a nice fine chop because we're only pureeing half the soup, so you don't want to bite into a really big chunk of garlic when you're having the soup. And the last thing to chop up is some flat leaf Italian parsley. This will be for a garnish at the very end. Again, a nice fine chop is perfect for this because you just want little tiny bites of parsley to add a brightness of flavor at the end. About an hour later, our white kidney beans should be fully cooked. And the way you can tell they are cooked is to take one out of the pot, let it cool for a second, and then just squish it between your fingers. It should sort of fall apart just like this and look nice and light and fluffy. Then we'll simply strain out the cooked white kidney beans, and I'm not going to rinse them or anything. I'm just going to leave them in the colander to cool a little bit while we prepare the rest of the soup. To cook the soup, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to a pot and heat it over medium-high heat. Once it's hot, we're going to add our onion, and then we're going to let it saute for about 4 to 5 minutes or until the onion is nice and translucent. As the onion is cooking, we're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper just to season the onion and to allow the water of the onion to come out. And if you're looking for the full measurements and directions, you can find them on my blog, and I'll leave the recipe linked in the description box below. Once the onions are soft and translucent, we're going to add our garlic into the pot, and we're going to cook that for about 30 seconds before we add a bay leaf. This is a fresh bay leaf that I grew in my garden. So much more flavor compared to dried ones. I love it. And we're also going to add a sprig of fresh rosemary as well. This is the rosemary in the white bean and rosemary soup. And we're just going to cook that all together for about 30 seconds until nice and fragrant. And next we'll add the cooked and drained kidney beans back to the pot, and then we're going to top it off with some chicken stock. It's about 6 cups of chicken stock. If you want to use vegetable stock here, you can too, but I love the flavor of chicken stock. To give the soup a really savory flavor, I'm going to add a rind of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. This will kind of melt and just infuse all of the delicious flavor of the cheese into the soup. And if you don't have a cheese rind, just substitute it with 1 cup of grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. So that's all the ingredients. All we're going to do is cover it with the lid, leaving a little bit of gap for some of the chicken stock to evaporate off. And then we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, you should see it's nice and thick and brothy, just like this. Now we're going to puree the soup, but before we do that, we're going to remove the sprig of rosemary from the pot, as well as the Parmesan cheese rind. That is a great snack for the chef. So good. And then we're also going to remove the bay leaf as well. Then I'll simply insert an immersion blender into the pot and puree the soup. I don't like pureeing it all the way. I like to have a little bit of chunks of beans in there, but you do whatever you like. Once the soup has been pureed, we're going to set that aside over low heat, and we're going to prepare some garlic toast. Now, the soup is really good, but when you serve it with this garlic toast, it is absolutely out of this world. So all you have to do to prepare that is to simply cut a piece of baguette in half, and then we're going to drizzle both sides of it with olive oil. For a little bit of extra savoriness, we're going to sprinkle it with salt as well. Then all you have to do is bake it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 5 to 10 minutes or until golden brown. Once fully toasted, we're going to take that 1 garlic clove that we saved from earlier, and then we're just going to rub it all on the cut side of the baguette. This is a really great trick to impart any garlic flavor onto bread. You don't have to chop up any garlic or anything, just rub it on and all those garlic oils get into the bread, and it is so delicious. Once the garlic toast is done, it is ready to serve. So all you have to do is ladle the soup into some beautiful serving bowls, top it with some more freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Then we're going to add a sprinkling of that fresh Italian parsley and a drizzle of some really good finishing extra virgin olive oil. And with that, your white bean and rosemary soup is ready to be served. I hope you enjoy this white bean and rosemary soup this winter. This is a great recipe to make all winter long since it's super filling and healthy, and having it with that beautiful garlic toast really makes it a full, delicious winter meal. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel here to see more delicious winter recipes, and also check out my food blog for more recipes for any season. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.